All right, folks, strap in. We're diving headfirst into a potential international incident right off the California coast this time.
Submarine hunts, heightened military activity, and a whole lot of
We're
questions.
talking about it all.
Let's break it down.
The source of this little headache is a breaking news alert from none other than the Next News Network.
A source known for, shall we say, a particular perspective.
You could say that.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to sift through this report, see what we can actually glean from it, and discuss what it might mean.
All without getting swept up in the hype.
Exactly.
So what are they claiming?
Well, they're saying that American and allied anti-submarine aircraft were observed in a flurry of activity off the coast of California on Sunday night.
Anti-submarine aircraft. Interesting.
Yeah, now, right off the bat, how much should we trust the Next News Network? What's their track record like?
Well, their track record is a bit, let's just say colorful.
Colorful.
They definitely have a tendency towards, shall we say, sensationalism and a particular slant on their reporting.
Right, so maybe take it with a grain of salt.
A healthy dose of skepticism is always a good idea.
Okay, but they do mention some specifics. They cite sources like the UK Daily Mail, even InfoWars.
Okay.
They mention specific aircraft, like a Navy EP-3E Ares II, that's a reconnaissance plane designed to detect electronic signals,
Right.
and a Boeing P-8 Poseidon, which is a dedicated submarine hunter.
So there's at least a kernel of something happening out there.
There's something going on, so what are they possibly doing out there?
Well, the report offers two possible explanations.
Laid it on me.
The first is that it could be a planned exercise.
Ah, a military drill.
Precisely. You know, navies often run these exercises to test readiness, make sure their forces can work together effectively, especially when it comes to something as complex as tracking submarines.
Yeah, especially in a sensitive area like the Pacific, I imagine that's pretty important.
Absolutely. And given the current global climate, the rising geopolitical tensions we've been seeing, it wouldn't be surprising if the U.S. and its allies were stepping up their exercises.
Okay, that makes sense. Military drills are pretty routine, right?
Yeah, fairly routine, but always significant.
Okay, so that's one possibility. But the report also throws out another, a bit more, shall we say, intriguing possibility.
Go on.
They suggest that they could be tracking an unidentified submarine, potentially belonging to, wait for it, North Korea.
Okay, hold on. Let's not jump to conclusions just yet.
Okay.
The report, as we've established, leans heavily on this North Korean angle.
Right.
But it's important to understand the context.
Tecate.
Yeah, North Korea does have submarines, but their capabilities, especially when it comes to range and stealth, are pretty limited.
Okay, so are we talking like rubber ducky submarines here?
Not quite, but they're certainly not the most advanced out there.
But they have been making some noise lately about their submarine-launched ballistic missiles.
They have, yes, and they've even claimed to have successfully tested one recently.
So how worried should we be about that?
Well, launching a missile from close to home is one thing, but sending a submarine undetected across the Pacific all the way to the U.S. coast,
That's a different story.
that's a whole different ballgame. Such a move would be incredibly risky for North Korea, both politically and militarily.
Okay, so if not North Korea, what other countries might be operating submarines in the area?
Well, you have to consider the major players.
Like who?
Russia, for example, has a very advanced submarine fleet. They've been known to, let's say, test the waters, probe the defenses of other countries, including the U.S., by sending submarines close to their coasts.
Oh, so like a little game of cat and mouse.
In a way, yes.
Okay, anyone else?
China, while their focus is primarily on the South China Sea and the Western Pacific, is another possibility.
Right, and we can't forget that the U.S. and its allies operate submarines all over the world, too.
Absolutely.
So this whole thing, even if it's not a North Korean sub, and you're saying it's probably not,
Probably not.
the fact that any foreign submarine might be lurking so close to our shores is kind of unsettling.
It definitely raises questions.
Makes you think.
It makes you wonder about their intentions, their capabilities.
Why are they there? What are they doing?
Exactly. What kind of technology are we talking about?
This whole incident really highlights how information, especially in our hyper-connected world, can be used to shape perceptions and sometimes even stir up fear.
Absolutely.
I mean, this Next News Network report, they really play up the drama,
Oh, yeah.
especially when they hint at a North Korean sub possibly carrying a nuclear-tipped missile.
It's a classic case of using information, or perhaps misinformation, to elicit a specific reaction.
Fear. in this case.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for you, the listener, to be a critical thinker.
To think for yourself.
Don't just accept information at face value, especially when it comes from sources with a history of sensationalism.
So how do you navigate this world of information overload? What are your go-to sources for reliable information? What steps do you take to separate fact from fiction?
Those are the crucial questions. And honestly, this incident, whether it turns out to be a routine drill or something more serious, really underscores the need for media literacy in the digital age.
Media literacy.
We're constantly bombarded with information from all sides,
All the time.
and it's up to each of us to evaluate those sources, consider multiple perspectives, and form our own conclusions.
Our own informed conclusions.
Exactly.
So there you have it, folks. A potential submarine sighting off the coast of California. It could be a routine military exercise, or it could be something more. But regardless of what's really happening out there, it's a reminder that the underwater world is full of secrets, and the information we receive about it is often murky at best.
And navigating that murky water requires careful consideration, a healthy dose of skepticism, and a commitment to seeking out the truth.
A commitment to the truth. Well said. That's all the time we have for this deep dive, but keep those sonar screens tuned, folks, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of news and information.
Until then, stay curious and stay informed.
And stay skeptical.
Always skeptical.